I'm delighted to introduce our speaker, Will Kintish. As you all know, we're a networking group, and networking has been given some extra challenges with COVID, because we can't go and have that quiet drink in the pub, inside the pub, though some of you, not myself in Ireland, obviously can have that quiet drink in the outdoors pub, so I'm a little bit jealous on that front. But networking obviously has been impacted by COVID. I think the new rules to the game, which I am really looking forward to hearing. After 30 years practicing as a chartered accountant, Will changed his career. Since then, he has shown thousands in the professional and business communities how to become more effective and confident face-to-face networkers. Since social distancing has entered our lives, he has developed the talk you're about to experience today, and as I say, very relevant. Since 2000, he has presented to over 125,000 people globally, hopefully increasing that number by about between 30 and 50, I think, Will. He is a published author of the best-selling book, The Networking Survival Guide. He has been awarded the Professional Speaking Award of Excellence, the highest accolade available in the speaking profession. He has been a member of the PSA virtually since it began, and is proud to say he has missed just 3 conventions. Well done, Will. The presentation today is entitled Taking from Working the Room to Working the Zoom. Here we are doing it in practice. So I am really looking forward to that. And I think Will also take questions at the end, and also hopefully, Will, you're very welcome, and I hope you will stay for the chat rooms as well, so people can throw some questions at you directly. But without further ado, please join me in welcoming Will Kintish.
Thank you, Nick. I'll take questions anytime. If you put them in the chat box, put the letter Q in front of it so that Charlotte can pick up the question, and Charlotte say, Will, we have a question from Barbara or somebody, and just ask me the question. In terms of looking at me, it would be really good in the top right hand corner in a minute when I share my slides, of which I've only got 6. You can see speaker side by side, so you'll see me in half the screen and the slide in the other half. That is the housekeeping. I've never done this before, but can anybody see that? That shows that I'm a fellow of the Chartered Accountants. I qualified 50 years ago in August. Can you imagine? 50 years. Thank you, A.S. Beasley. 50 years I qualified. There was no computers. There was no internet. There was no mobile phones. It was just pen and ink. And for those of you who are old and who are English, it was pounds, shillings, and pence. None of you remember pounds, shillings, and pence, do you? You don't need to know about it. I was 47 years old before I even touched a computer. Tony, the new managing partner, came in. I was senior partner. He said, Will, we're going to wire your office for a computer. I said, oh, Tony, please, I don't want a computer. I'm far too old for that. He said, oh, no, everybody's going to have a computer. I said, why? He said, because we're going to send each other emails. What was my next question? What's an email? I mean, can you imagine? What is an email? Now, we're not talking 1895 here, you know, we're talking 1995. But am I glad I was introduced to computers, because I'm pretty savvy now with it all. So I left accountancy May 31st in the year 2000. So it'll be my 21st birthday in a few weeks' time. And all I've been doing, as Nick said, is showing people how to be effective and confident networkers. The basis of my talk then was how to work the room. Because fortunately for me, most people would rather eat their left arm than go networking. Walking into that room, having to face all those strangers. Well, for you introverts in this room, probably Mr. and Mrs. COVID have been an absolute delight for you, because you haven't been able to go networking physically. But the question is, are you still networking remotely, virtually? I mean, why do we network? We network to exchange ideas. We network to learn new things. For some of you looking for your next role, you should be networking there. For some of you who work in companies, I hope you are networking internally. And most importantly, one of the key reasons we network is to share our knowledge, our expertise, and our experience. Why do I think it's important for you to network? Well, it's simple. And only you can answer this question. Do you want to raise your profile? And do you want to be more visible? It's as simple as that. And if the answer is yes to two of them, for the next 40 minutes or so, I meant to put my timer on and didn't. Give me a 5-minute warning, Charlotte, please. Yes. Do you want to be more proactive? And do you want to be more visible without selling? But let's start at the very beginning. Me, you, and everybody in the world, whether you like it or not, we network from the age of 2. In my opinion, networking is simply building relationships. It's simply talking. It's communicating. That's all it is. So I've been earning a living, everybody, teaching people basically how to talk to each other. What do you reckon to that? But that's all it is. I think it's just the word networking because people don't understand what it is. It's not selling other than of yourself. It's not promotion. It's not marketing. It's just having conversations with people. Now, I've been doing this for 20 odd years now. And about 15 years ago, I realized that the people I work with, good people like you, professional people, I work with people in the professional, financial, and academic worlds, people who are in the advice giving business. And what I've developed is a process. And I'm about to share my slides with you and introduce you to the networking process. So it's a 6-step process. Every conversation has to start with an invitation. In the past, somebody would invite you to a conference or to a meeting or a BNI group or any sort of networking group, or you would invite them. Well, of course, we can't do that now. But my question to you is, are you having coffee? Are you having a virtual coffee with people? Are you joining networking groups? We haven't had time to find out whether any of you are self-employed, but for those of you who are looking for more business, my advice to you is make sure that you are keeping in touch with people. The advice I wish to share with you is, whilst we're in lockdown, much, much better to reinforce existing relationships than go looking for new ones. Go through your level 1 contacts on LinkedIn. Go through your past little black book of connections. That's what I've been doing, keeping in touch with past people. I'm guessing that, like me, a lot of you get LinkedIn invitations from people. I mean, I must say to you, if ever there was a time for you to be embracing LinkedIn, it's now. Even if you're not looking for another job. I bet, like me, you get invitations from strangers and you don't know who they are, obviously, and they send you that one-line invitation. Well, can I strongly recommend that if you're doing that, it's not the right way to do it. If ever you're going to invite anybody to LinkedIn, which I'm going to ask you to do right at the end of my talk tonight, please send me, or whoever it is you're inviting, a personal invitation. You, on a PC, you go to the connect button, and then it says add a note. That is a very important phrase, that. Add a note. Always send a note. Now, even after I've recommended to people to send me a note, they don't. And I have to tell them off. And I say to them, why have you sent me an invitation without a friendly note? And they've said to me, and you might find this useful, everybody, they've said to me, but Will, I used my smartphone and I saw your profile and I pressed the connect button and there was nowhere to send a personal invitation. Well, just for the record, everybody, if ever you're going to invite anybody to link in on your phone, do not press the connect button. Go to the more button, which is next to the connect button, and a little menu will come down, and about the fourth item down, whether it's a Samsung, a Huawei, or an iPhone, you'll see personalize the invitation. Now, as Barbara has already experienced, when Barbara invited me to link in, and she sent me, I'm pretty sure, yes, you sent me a personal invitation. Thank you, Barbara. I didn't just accept it. I then sent her, what I hope, and she's already said so, I sent her some useful information. That is the start of our relationship. I mean, I might never see Barbara again, but we just don't know that. So what I'm asking you, my audience, if you're going to start engaging with people through LinkedIn, don't just go invite, accept, and forget all about it. Go a bit further. So when Barbara invited me, I said, thank you. I said, if I can help you in any way, let me know. And I sent her some information. I sent her my 28 pocket guide about how to work a room. I know we can't use it at the moment, but hopefully as the months go ahead, we will be getting back to physical networking. Now, I haven't had a full look at Barbara's profile, or I did, I've forgotten. But if Barbara, for me, was a managing partner or even a partner in an accounting firm, and I'm thinking, well, they're a fair-sized firm, I would then get back in touch with Barbara and say, Barbara, 2 or 3 weeks ago, we connected on LinkedIn. Can I remind you what I do? How do you feel about us having a virtual coffee, a one-to-one on a Zoom or just a phone call? More and more, I mean, Charlotte said it at the beginning, we're all getting zoomed out. Here's an alternative for you. If you know people well enough, why not suggest a WhatsApp video? You can see each other, doesn't cost anything, and there's no messing about having to set up the Zoom thing. So this is all about invitations. Building relationships. That's all networking is. Networking is simply building relationships. Now, every relationship that you have now, that you value, that has got any meaning to you, has got to have 3 key steps. The first step in building a relationship is to get to know people. The 3 steps, before I go into them in a bit of detail, is know, like, and trust. You think about any relationship that you value, every relationship has to start somewhere. I mean, I don't know whether I said it before you were all on. I've been married to Mrs. Kintish for over 50 years, and we've known each other about 56 years. I actually picked her up at the ice rink 56 years ago. When I say picked her up, I'm not talking about picking her up. I physically picked her up because she fell over, and we got chatting, and the rest, as they say, is history. So every relationship starts somewhere. If you do want to build a new relationship using LinkedIn, here is an idea for you to use on your personal invitation. So I'm looking at Robert now, who's in front of me. Dear Robert, we've never met, but every relationship starts somewhere. I've looked at your profile, which looks very interesting. Perhaps we can connect on LinkedIn, and but do check my profile out first. So again, getting to know people. But if you are going to use LinkedIn and you do want to meet new people, the best way to do it is to look at your contacts and look at their contacts, and you ask your contacts to introduce you to their contacts. There's been a brand new CEO today announced for KPMG in the UK, and I would love to meet him. So I've been, excuse me, I've been looking around some of my level 1 contacts who seem to be connected to him, because I'm not going to approach that guy. He's called Jonathan Davis, I think. I'm not going to approach him directly, but I'm going to find somebody to give me a warm introduction. And that's the same for you. If you want to get to know somebody, find somebody who knows them. Know, like, and trust. At the end of the day, if people don't like us, they don't want to build a relationship with us whatsoever. They'll do everything in their utmost to find a reason not to connect with us. So what do we have to do to get people to like us? Well, it's simple. It's nothing to do with accountancy. We have to be courteous. We have to be friendly. We have to find things in common. But for me, the first principle of networking is to be kind, is to share, is to help people. Let me repeat what I said 10 minutes ago. We are in the advice giving business. If any of you are involved in business development, give away your knowledge, your experience, and your expertise. The more you tell, the more you sell. Now, maybe a lot of you are just doing accountancy, you're head of finance, and business development isn't relevant to you, but maybe you'll share my knowledge with some of your colleagues who are doing business development. I hate this cliche, but I'm going to say it to you anyway. At the end of the day, when it comes to like, people buy people before they buy the product or service. Always be saying to people, what can I do for you? Who can I introduce you to? And if you do get back in touch with old contacts and you're a bit embarrassed about it, just phone them up, see how they're getting on, and ask them this question. So how will I know if someone I'm talking to would be a good introduction for you? And if they say, do you know anybody at such a company? Say, oh yeah, I do. And make the introduction, broker the introduction for them. Having said that, helping people has to work two ways. Helping ourselves and helping others. If you want to help yourself and you want some help from somebody, don't hesitate in asking them. Because when people know you, like you, and trust you, they will want to help you. You think about friends and family who are in trouble for whatever reason, and they come to you for help, and you are able to help them. I know, I don't even need to ask, I know you will feel good by helping them. So if you ask other people for help, you are making them feel good. So if I want to get into a bigger company, I'll say, please, can you help me? Learn this phrase, everybody. If you were me, who is the best person to speak to? Or if you were me, how would you go about getting into such a company? So don't be shy to ask for help. It's a strength and not a weakness. Know, like, and trust. How do we build trust? For me, it's so simple. So simple. It's about being reliable. I got through my 30 odd years as an accountant. Technically, I wasn't very clever. I got thrown out of school at 16 and told to go and get a job, go and be an accountant. I became a partner, I think, through my personality, definitely not through my technical capability. When it became difficult, I had to ask my clever partners to help me out. So why did I become the firm's biggest business developer. I got more clients than anybody because people liked me. But more importantly, people trusted me. Because when they said to me, Will, we need a set of account. In those days, the client couldn't do management account. They didn't have Xero or Sage or any of the software. We had to do the accounts. We need to raise some finance. Can you produce some management accounts for us or get the year-end accounts done quickly? And they'd say, when can we have them for? I'd go back to the office, discuss it with my team, and I'd go back to the client and say, you can have the accounts on Wednesday. And you know what we did? We got the account to them on Tuesday. That made us a great accountants. You get to them on Thursday, you're not such a great accountant. So if you've got people in your teams or even yourselves who aren't as reliable, that means you're not as trustworthy. I had 2 signs on my wall. And whenever people came to work with me at the accountants, or in the last 20 years when I had staff in this business, Kintish training skills, they only had to follow 2 rules. Rule 1, do what you say you're going to do. Rule 2, do it when you say you're going to do it. Now, if any of you have got kids, just teach them that from an early age. Get them to build a reputation of being totally, totally reliable. It will only be good for them through their lives. Know, like, and trust. That's what networking is. That's what building relationships is. When we went to school, you were judged on the quality of your answers. It was called exams or tests. In the world I'm talking to you about, you're judged on the quality of your questions. There are 4 areas of questions: icebreakers, business questions, small talk questions, and follow-up questions. Once we go back physically to networking and we go into that room, we have to go up to somebody at an event, please, whether it's on Room or Zoom, never ever start off a conversation with, hello there, what do you do? Always find something outside the business arena questions. So, as you know, we had some banter. I think it was Nick called it banter. Of course it was banter. Why not? Whenever you start a group meeting or a one-to-one, always find something you've got in common. As you know, I asked some of you, where are you based? Where are you sitting? How's your day been? What have you done in the last 24 hours? Always start a conversation with the icebreaker and find something in common. So when you go back physically, here are some icebreakers. Oh, hello there, please may I join you? Where have you traveled from today? Hello there, please can I introduce myself? What made you come to this conference? Hello there, nice to meet you. Isn't this a magnificent hall? Have you been in this hall before? You've both got something in common and the conversation then starts to flow from that. And then we get into business questions. Without wishing to turn you into Kintish clones, if you're going to start asking people about their business or their careers, break your questioning down into 3 sections. Ask them about their now, ask them about their past, and then ask them about their future. So if somebody says, I work at such and such a company, the next question you should always be asking them is, and what is your role there? And by the way, everything I'm sharing with you, whether it's in the room or through the Zoom, is exactly the same. It's no different, no different. You just physically can't move around in the Zoom. Ask people questions about what their role is. Ask them, how's the year going for you? I've got this foible, everybody, about being asked, how's business? Think about that question. Do you mean today, this week, this month? How's the year going for you? Ask them. When it gets to I don't know, the autumn, how's the year gone for you? Ask sensible questions. Ask them where they're based. Ask them what their marketplace is. And then ask them questions about their opinion on, I know it's still relevant, Brexit. Ask them how COVID has affected their business. At the end of the day, if you want people to like you, it's your job to spend more time being interested than interesting. Always remember that. I have a 4-question rule, everybody. If I go to an event and I ask somebody 4 questions and I begin to realize they've asked me nothing, you know what it's turned into? It's not turned into a relationship, it's turned into an interview or an interrogation. And at a business event, physically, I will excuse myself. I call it dumping. I will dump them and move on. Politely. You see, if you don't ask people questions, what are they thinking? You're not interested in me. You don't want to learn anything. You don't care about me. That is not the way to build relationships. So asking questions is the #1 core skill. And let's be honest, people love talking about themselves. So you ask people questions about the present, their views on all sorts of things. And then questions about their past. What made you become an accountant? Anybody who owns a business, how did you get into that? How long's the company been going? Questions about the past. Questions about their future. So where do you see your business going in the next year or 2? Always put a time scale on your questions. By the way, at the end of this, Charlotte is going to send you a link, and there's there's lots and lots of material that Charlotte will share with you on the link right at the end, with a few of the questions I've already given to you, together with loads and loads more. So let's move to the aha moment. What is the aha moment? For me, that is the crux of any conversation. It's all about learning something, either me learning something or you learning something. Me sharing my knowledge, you sharing your knowledge, exchanging ideas. That's what this networking is all about. It's all about creating value for both of us. So for example, and by the way, everything I'm sharing with you, I knew nothing about this when I was an accountant. I probably just did it. Fortunately for me, there aren't a lot of natural networkers, because if there were, I wouldn't have had a job for the last 20 years. But I probably did do these things. I can't even remember. But let's take, for example, you meet somebody at an event. This is, of course, if you were in practice, but it makes it easier this way. So if you're in practice and you're having a good conversation with somebody, and all they know about you is you're an accountant, and you say to them, oh, I'm sorry, I have to go back. Very important. We'll come back to the aha moment in a minute. The third one is small talk. Small talk. This is called a Pritt stick. It's glue. It glues paper. For me, the small talk creates the big relationships. Please do not undervalue the power of small talk. Finding things in common through small talk. Forget business. Business always comes later. You ask people where they live. You ask people what made them come to the event. If any of you ever come to Manchester, I'm guessing none of you, I don't know yet. Maybe I'll meet somebody in the breakout room who's from the north. I heard the word Warrington. I had an office in Warrington for 20 odd years. You ask people about holidays as they were. You ask people, here's a great question. People love this one. So when you're not working, what do you do in your spare time? Ask me that, and I could bore you to death about hiking. I absolutely love hiking. Ask people about current events, but try and avoid politics and religion. And one area which I think is fabulous, but is fraught with great danger, is family. Family is a super topic, but please, I'm begging you, don't ever ask anybody who you've just met 2 questions. 1, are you married? And 2, have you got any children? Think about it. When you ask the wrong person, the wrong question on the wrong day, well, work it out. You're clever enough to work it out. So I can find out about all of you. Maybe I will in the breakout rooms by asking you what you do in your spare time. Now, I've lost track. What day is it? Is it Tuesday today? Yes, Tuesday. My wife's not working. But if it's a Monday or a Friday, I will ask people, what are you doing at the weekend? Or what did you do at the weekend? Or what was the last holiday you went on? Or what do you do when you're not working? If people have got a significant other, a husband, a wife, a partner, or children, and children, they'll tell you, oh, what do I do at the weekend? We took the kids to, or me and my partner, me and my husband, we went to. And that then gives you the entree into finding out all about their personal life without being too invasive, I think is the word. So we've done icebreaker questions, we've done business questions, we've done small talk questions. I'll do the follow-up questions when we get to the follow-up bit. But let's go to the aha moment. The aha moment, or if you like, you call it the light bulb moment. It's when somebody says something to you and you think, aha, that's useful information. I need to act on it. Or if somebody says to me, and over the years, I've picked up a lot of business doing that at a networking event, people say, oh, I hate working a room. How do you move on when the conversation finishes? And I show them. That for me is an aha moment. I've given away some of my advice. If you are in general practice, here's another little area of questioning. But don't ever start asking the question until well down the line. So you've talked about small talk, you've talked about their business, and then you say, do you mind me asking you, who do you use as your accountants? Now, I know a lot of you are internal accountants, but you'll get the gist of what I'm saying to you relative to aha moments. Well, we use so-and-so. And then you say, oh, how long have you been with them? What made you choose them? And then you look them in the eye, because when you ask questions, everybody, and you want the truth from somebody, always look at them. We can all lie with our words, but we can't all lie with our tone of voice and our body language. So you say to them, so how do you find them then? If they say they're fantastic, you ask them why. If they say, well, we're not that happy with them, say, what is it you're looking for from your accountants? No selling. Even if they tell you that they're in the market to look for new accountants or new whatever it is that you're supplying, whatever you do, do not mix up networking, i.e. relationship building, with selling. We do not sell on the day. There's no buying button in that room, so don't go selling. If ever you're going to do any selling, and I don't even want you to do that, it's at point number 6 on the slide when you go meet them afterwards. And meeting them afterwards these days might be the second Zoom meeting or the second WhatsApp phone call. the aha moment. Another one might be, do you know what? We might be interested in talking to your company further about that. That is an aha moment. If you are at an event, what I want you to do is the following. I want you to ask them for a business card. Headline: the most important thing about business cards is to get theirs. Don't be in a hurry to be spraying yours all over the place like the old Panini football cards. That's not what it's about. If you spot an opportunity in the physical space, ask them for a card, look at the card, comment on the card, and say, you know, a few minutes ago, you said you might be interested in talking to us further. And that's the start of the follow-up. You look them in the eye and you say, how do you feel about me giving you a call or arranging a second Zoom later in the week, and let's continue the conversation then? Anybody ever heard this phrase? The fortune is in the follow-up. Whatever it is, whatever you're looking for, if you're looking for a new job, follow up. So many people don't follow up. You're worried about rejection. You're worried about annoying people. For those of you who have got opportunities on your desk at the moment and you haven't followed them up, will you ask yourselves the question, why? Remember this, if it involves money, at the moment, you've got that amount of money from whatever it is you're looking for. So if you don't follow up, they'll probably forget who you are and you'll still have nothing at the end of it. We don't like hearing no, but no is the second best answer after yes. For those of you who put your resumes and CVs into people and you've not heard from them, go back to them and go back to them for a third time if they ignore you. When you get to the fourth time, I want you to say this: dear prospect, dear employer, I'm beginning to think I could be annoying you. Please give me guidance. If you don't want me to follow you up anymore, tell me and I won't follow you up. I'm guessing that everybody at this event now has got great knowledge, great experience, and great expertise. You've been doing it for many, many years. So if you are looking for that next role, remember you're doing them a favor. Think about it. They're going to pay you that much. It doesn't matter what the numbers are. Let's call it 50,000, 70,000. I don't care. But once they take you on, the value they're going to expect from you is that much, isn't it? 150,000. You're all accountants, work it out. So don't give up too soon, whatever it is, whether it's business development or your career development. Keep following up all the way through. But make sure you keep offering the escape route. And there's many ways to follow up. You send an email. If you know them reasonably well enough, do a WhatsApp video. So I'm looking at Nick here. If I'm following Nick up, I'll say, Nick, hi, it's Will Kintish here. How are you keeping today? I sent you that proposal about a month ago, and you probably know I've chased you up a couple of times. Do me a favor, Nick. Please tell me whether we might do some business or not, because if not, fine, I won't take it personally. And if so, perhaps we should set up our next phone call. Whatever it is you're chasing in life, keep following up. And again, for those of you who've got kids, tell them that. The worst that's going to happen is people are going to say no. Shrug, learn to cope with it, and just move on. And finally, when you do spot an opportunity, arrange that one-to-one with people. It's the one-to-ones, it's the only time that the relationship can blossom. Please think about that. If ever I get to a meeting, having met somebody at an event, this is my script. And I don't even sell. I probably don't go to meetings. I just go back on the phone with them. And I say, well, thanks for taking my call, or thanks for agreeing to this Zoom meeting, Nick. Then I do a bit of small talk, always throw the small talk in as a sprinkler at the beginning. Do you remember last week, Nick, when we were talking about X, you said you had a problem with a team of young people who needed to learn to network. All I'd like to hear from you today is more about that. And if it's relevant, perhaps we'll do some business. And for me, that is selling. Simple as that. We can't create need. Remember that, everybody. We can't create need. At the end of it, business will only happen when your knowledge, your experience, and your expertise matches their need. That is the only time things will happen. People will not buy from us until they're ready, until they're willing, and until they're able. How many times do I meet partners of firms, law firms, accounting firms? They're ready to buy from me. They're willing to buy from me, but because they haven't got the budget, it's not in their domain, they can't buy from me. They say, oh, we've run out of budget, or our department hasn't got enough training budget or enough marketing budget for our conference. And I just shrug. But again, with regard to following up a meeting, don't give up too soon. Because you know what? When people say no, unless they don't like you, they don't mean no, never. They mean no, not yet. Early on in my career, I got an intro to a bank. Irish bank, Nick, as a matter of fact. And I had a phone call. They asked me, excuse me, they asked me to send a quote, and then it went silent. In those days, we had faxes, and I used the fax, and it said, dear Nick, if you were the prospect, dear Nick, when we first spoke, you were very interested in what I did, train some of your bank managers. Please, will you tick one of these items on the fax machine and fax it back to me? And it said, yes, I'd like to talk further, not yet, or no, thank you. And he wrote back, and he put the cross on, and he put, no, thank you. Well, I was heartbroken because it was going to be a lot of work. I'd even told Mrs. Kintish that I thought we'd have enough money to go on a cruise. But no, the prospect said no. And I wrote back and tried to find out why not. I never heard. And then 6 months later, I phoned him up again. I think he was called Stephen. I said, Stephen, it's Will Kintish here. You know, we talked about networking training. Ah, he said, I'm glad you've called. We were only having a meeting last week talking about business development. And he booked me. And just before he booked me, I said to him, 6 months ago, you said no, and now you've said yes. Do you mind telling me what's happened? And for those of you who aren't good at following up, or not as persistent as perhaps you should be, I'm going to tell you what Stephen said to me from the bank. He said, well, Will, things change, circumstances change, and people change. And that comment from him had meant that over the years, I keep going back to people. But as long as I say, if you don't want to hear from me anymore, tell me, I don't think I can be pestering people.
Excuse me, Will, you asked me to give you a 5-minute warning.
That's all I need. I was going to finish even less than that. So here we go, guys. That's what I do. For the last 20 years, I've traveled the length and the breadth of the UK, Ireland, Europe. Well, like a lot of you, I am now got house arrest. So I am available at much lower prices than I used to. There's no travel time and no travel costs. You had a quick 40 minutes. I run 1-hour workshops, 2-hour workshops, and half-day workshops. Half-day workshops include working the room, because we are going to go back to doing it one of these days. And unlike today, it will be a lot more interactive. And the final slide, here's my giveaway page that Charlotte is going to send to you all. All I'm asking you to do is to fill out the questionnaire, and I promise you'll never hear from me again unless you want to. All I'd like you to do is to say what you enjoyed, what you would like more of, what you would like less of, and as soon as you press the submit button, you get a ton of extra stuff based on this evening. Well, it's back to headquarters. It's back to you, Charlotte, back to you, Nick. And any questions, any comments? There we go.
Well, thank you very, very much. And I am going to pose one quick question to you, but I'm also keen to keep within our time and get everybody into chat rooms where also hopefully you can be interrogated a little bit more viciously, if you like. Question I have in this sort of new digital world is, what are the pitfalls to avoid in this sort of video networking, WhatsApp, whatever, that some of us who've been around the block a few times may not be aware of, because this is a new way for us to interact?
Sorry, what's the question, Nick?
The question is, what are the pitfalls to avoid?
Oh, the pitfall, right, thank you.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've written on here, you can't see it, creating the right impression through the camera. These are the pitfalls. A lot of you are in darkness. Can I ask you, if possible, to when we are in daylight, to be facing the window if possible? I am sitting in a room that has no windows. I live in a 3-story house. I'm below ground here, but I've got lighting. It costs nothing. An LED light there, an LED light there, and a light in front of me. Please get your lighting sorted. You can probably tell I have a virtual background. I have a green screen behind me, just a screen for those of you who are spending a lot of time doing this and want to look more professional. Get yourself a plastic green cloth or a green anything and stick it up, and that way you've got a green screen and you can put the Zoom virtual backgrounds on there. Make sure your lighting is good. Make sure that you've got good sound. And please, most important of all, look into the camera. You asked me what the pitfalls are, Nick. I would suggest that the biggest pitfall is people who don't do it as often as I do not look into the camera when they are talking to the other person. Look into the camera when you're talking to them and look down at them when they're listening. It's not easy. It's taken me a long time to do it. Get yourself a piece of paper which says, look at me, or get yourself a piece of paper and a picture of your loved one and stick it next to the camera and put, look at me. But looking into the camera is very, very important. Those, for me, Nick, are the pitfalls, because we're on television. Everybody's on television. So organize your lighting, organize your sound, make sure you look at the person as you're talking to them.
And unmute yourself, like I just had to do now. Thank you, Will. That's fascinating, and thank you as well for cantering us through the world of networking, and I think very, very useful for everybody here.